Okay, social media posts are out. And we're live.
Want to do some heavy metal tap dancing? Awesome.
In slippers, yes.
Yes.
Hey man, I have advanced slipper technology. They have like shoe treads on them. It's the only reason I bought them too. I'm that type of person. When you see something that's novel like that, it's like I don't need those, but I've got them on right now. Hey beautiful people, what's going on? We're getting ready for Linux Weekly Daily Wednesdays. We're just getting set up, getting everything together. We are live, coming to you, kind of live from our little home studio in Athenland. And joining us, it's Hollywood Jill out there in LA, keeping everyone legit. Keeping it real. And Pedro from the island, wondering why the weather's so jacked up there. And
It's kind of annoying. It was really warm last week. Now it's not.
Hi, Steve Hubspin. Hi, Barbrant. Hi, Mir PPC. Hi, Artherin. Hi, Rohit.
Hey, Artherin.
it's truly terrifying. Oh, Jill's wearing a shirt. It's blue, Steve. Can you believe that? Man,
Yeah. Yeah. See? Yeah. Actually, this shirt is over 20 years old. It was from one of the first shirts that ThinkGeek sold. You know, back in the day, ThinkGeek. That's how they started. They started just selling Linux shirts.
Linux apparel.
So I have like 20 shirts from that era.
I don't have 20 shirts, but I have two ties. I have the red penguin tie and the blue penguin tie. I still have those.
Oh, you do? Good.
Yeah.
In total, though, I have several hundred Linux shirts, but that's just because of conventions.
I don't think they're like 20, but they're probably like, yeah, when you think about it, geez, getting old.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like 16 years old. But I always was like, oh, that's a subtle way for like,
early.
No one in the
early
history
2000s.
ever is like, hey, is that the Linux? Never. It's never. Not a conversation starter is what I'm telling you.
Yeah. Aw.
Oh, you have
No one knew
penguins.
what
That's nice.
Hi, Strider. Hi, Matthew.
Oh, look at the penguins on your shirt. Like, they're delicious.
Aw.
Yeah, no.
Steve has a true story. I don't get to use the closet if he doesn't. 'Cause I have hundreds, literally hundreds of novel t-shirts. I have my Linux and Computer Geek, and then I have my Star Trek shirts. I have done like another 100 of those. But so he has his own separate closet in another room.
Pedro, that settles it, man. We're gonna have to like get on making the t-shirts. I think Jill will keep us in business just by herself.
We know at least we'll sell a couple to Jill. So that's fine.
Yes.
Wait for the first email. How come you guys have 99 variations on the same design? Reasons.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, actually, I have some of my early Star Trek shirts from the 70s are very, very rare. I have some that are signed with certificates of authenticity from Gene Roddenberry himself, because it was like the original Star Trek Lives shirt from the 70s. And so I have true collectibles, and then I have almost duplicates of every t-shirt I have, because I keep one that I don't use, and then I have one that I do use. So I have actually two of these shirts.
Yeah, you're one of those.
I am, yes. That's why I have hundreds. I do that with all my things. All my computers, my records, everything. I always have to have two of everything. My Star Trek collection is huge. That is another collection I actually need a separate room for. I have as much Star Trek stuff as I do computer stuff. Because I've been collecting since I've been like 6 years old.
I got empty rooms in my house, Joe.
Yeah, I need those rooms. I need them. Can we trade?
You need to put stuff in those rooms. No, I don't. That's
Yeah,
good.
no, you don't.
I bought this house as an investment. That's supposed to clean when I leave.
Yes, Arthur, peace and long life. And speaking of which, my mug today is dual nerddom. It is Locutus of Penguin. That was from Cafe Press. Locutus of Penguin.
It looks delicious.
It's got some tea in it.
Yes, Linux Nuru, it is time for the traditional, pre-cigar for the Wednesday. Just like clockwork. Just like clockwork.
It's like, what, 10 p.m. in Tanzania? That's fine.
Yeah, so one of these days I'll get out some of my most collectible Star Trek stuff. I have items from the set. I have original tribbles from the set.
I can smell them from here.
Yeah, yeah. I could show you right now. I have my world's largest tribble in this room.
Steve's working from home?
No, Steve, not a tribble. Here, I'll show it to you.
Oh, man. You see, listen, if I had that, I would core it out and put it on one of my Roombas.
A Roomba could be a tribble toy instead of a cat toy, huh, Ben?
Tell me, man. You could definitely do that.
But this is from the Star Trek experience that is no longer. It is now a collectible as well, and it was the largest ones you could buy. This one doesn't have the sound chip in it, but the second generation did. And I, of course, have like 50 tribbles in my collection, many of which was sound chips. I'd gotten 100 of them from David Gerald, and we had them at my wedding. So everyone got a tribble at my wedding from David Gerald. So that was pretty cool. Quite special. He said that was the most tribbles they ever made for an event. It was my wedding. And yes, they are born pregnant.
All right, let's get that.
Matthew. Steve's wedding too. What a coincidence. Yes.
That's an interesting email. Pedro, you'll get a kick out of this. I'm talking with a company about just doing some QA stuff.
Mm-hmm.
With one of the games, and I can't talk about it on live stream. This is the part I can say. So asking about system specs, I'm just talking with the developer there. I don't want to quote this incorrectly. When asking, because they've asked around for a couple of people to test this.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, we need to know what system you have. Because he's talking right now about, I need to create a form. Because I said, you need to create a form. It's like anybody who writes back telling that, he's like, I need CPU, GPU, memory, right?
Mm-hmm.
Operating system, what are you running, Ubuntu, whatever. It's like anytime I see memory with like G-Skill 9000 RGB X whatever clocked at whatever with cast timing, I immediately delete it because I know I'm dealing with a 12-year-old. I don't want 12-year-olds QAing my stuff.
Yeah.
That person knows what they're talking about.
Pro tip.
Yeah, no, I know that my RAM is binned at 3600, even though I can't reach 3600 on this motherboard. That's about all I know. 3200 is what it's running at right now, so yeah. Because Ryzen cares about memory speed and dual channel and quad channel and all that business, so it's like, oh, okay.
Gotta get the new Gen 2 Ryzen's, man. That's the new hotness.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, our
Would be
it's
nice.
so true.
If we were moving right now, maybe as payday rolled around, I'd buy the 2400G, the motherboard,
But
maybe
yeah,
even some RAM.
But right now it's all the NVMe, right?
Yeah, no, it's with 1804 coming. We'll talk about it. Don't you worry.
Don't worry. I just love it. I love seeing how people's brains work because I go through similar things with justifying expenses.
Yeah, so it's like, okay, I know that's going to break. It's going to break in new and interesting ways. So if I'm going to have to start from scratch, maybe I'll start from scratch with an NVMe SSD. And the old Western Digital Blacks are the M.2 NVMe Western Digital Black SSDs. The 250 gig are like 70 pounds right now. So, yeah, I think I might just buy that.
Me, I'm gonna buy one of those Mushkin like $100 SSDs.
Yeah, they don't sell those in the UK. I learned that.
Oh, that's sad. We could send some to Pedro. I was thinking of buying a couple of those.
Listen,
I was like, okay, maybe I'll buy one of those 500 gig ones, because you know, the 110 bucks. What's that? Like 100 pounds probably after they put the tax on it. That's fine. I'll pay 100 pounds for it. No issues. Nope, can't buy them.
Oh.
Listen, man, I'll send you one for Hanukkah, like in 8 pieces.
As long as you do a video about unsoldering the flash from the PCB.
You know as well as I do that I have the equipment not only to do that, but to do that properly.
Yeah.
Yay, Linux Skinner. Yes, Steven is 16 years old. and then he replied, "You must be smoking Raspis."
I could go places with that on a Saturday, just not on a Wednesday.
When Steven met me, he thought I was like 16 or 17 years old. He didn't realize I was in my late 20s.
That says a lot about Steve.
Throwing some shade. Throwing some shade.
Yeah, he couldn't believe I was older. So, and he goes, "Oh," he goes, "I can't." He said, "I guess I can date her." Uh-oh.
Nope. Hit the eject button, kids.
Nowadays, I don't get, carded anymore. It's like, people don't, you don't look old enough. No, it's fine. He looks over 25, it's fine. Just let him buy whatever he wants. It's somewhat disappointing.
Yeah.
But Nori, on the other hand, she gets carded all the
Still
time.
gets carded. Awesome. I was getting carded up until I was 40, but then my hair changed, I guess. But the thing is, see, when I was a little kid, I had almost white hair because my grandmother was albino, so it's going white. It's like it's so blonde, it's all white. So,
No.
but it's going back to where it used to be. But then everyone thinks it's like, oh, must be older because your hair is white or gray. But I don't know. Then some people don't. They're like, but you don't act older, so you don't look older. So as long as
that's usually Sunday nights for me.
What?
The whole, I know how to defeat that boss. Oh shit.
Oh yeah.
And that's why the flying spaghetti monster gave us alcohol.
I still love it though, because sometimes my students still think I'm one of the a student, so that always makes me feel good when I come in the door.
You can put the kibosh on that. Just get a walker.
Yeah. No. I could bring Steve husband in.
Oh, you brought your dad. That's nice.
Actually, there was someone one time who thought he was my dad. Oh no, poor Steve husband. Oh, poor Steve husband. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that.
Let's get it properly. I'm going to grab a drink, then we're going to get underway.
Yes, I will go take a break as well. Leave Pedro alone.
Yeah.
Aw.
It'll be like reverse Saturday when everyone bailed on me.
Yeah.
Everyone else bails. I'm the only one left. That's fine. No, it's great. Just bring a walker in. Just open the door very slowly, walk in with the thing, and then just kick it. It's like, done. Yeah, no. If this show ever, if we ever get to a point where our significant others are totally okay with it, and this lands on like an April Fool's or something, just have the significant others doing the show. It's like, Linux is a thing. Yeah. Wait, do cats scream? If they get into a fight or they're in heat, sure. Yeah. My parents' cat is she's getting a bit old, and doesn't really stop her from getting into fights with the other cats, much younger cats in the neighborhood. It's like, you're stepping on my turf! Yes, Linux Nuru, that's the big unknown right there. Whether or not Venn can convince Dr. Girlfriend to host an April Fool's show instead of him.
What?
It's like an idea of if this ever lands on an April Fool's, just have Steve, Nori, and Dr. Girlfriend hosting a show.
You know, when you've had to spend as much time as I have going through another person's social media stuff, like you need to set this on private, you need to set this on private, you work for a multi-million-dollar corporation that pays you an S ton of money, yeah, you don't need people looking into you? How about no?
Okay, you could be running the show quietly from the shadows. Just have them doing the show.
I mean, seriously, I mean, like, Nori could put on a fake mustache. I wouldn't know. We'd be halfway into the review section before I put it together.
She's much prettier than I am.
So, oh, you still haven't read the bench. You just discovered that Tomb Raider had a benchmark. That's right.
Yes.
Okay.
I was reading, it's like, oh, it has a bench. Okay. All right.
Oh,
I
yeah,
completely missed that.
Listen, I agree with you. That has nothing to do with Feral. That menu is curiously laid out. Is the quits not at the bottom? Since when?
It's like, oh, the benchmark is in the main menu, right? Because I didn't see that at all. Just saying.
Well, didn't it initially launch with like DX12?
Mm-hmm.
That's probably why they're like, oh, look how great DX12 is. Fast forward 2 years, DX what? Huh?
What was the last game to be released with DX12?
To the Googles, man.
Yeah. Okay, Rise of the Tomb Raider was like the very first one, and oh, there we go. Warhammer Vermintide 2. That explains why it's not on Linux.
Okay, before we get started, go ahead and get this out of the way because it usually happens right at the beginning of the show if it's a UPS guy.
Oh, okay.
Right. So if I publicly say I'm waiting for my chemical guy to bring me a tank of acetylene, maybe he'll show up because I got to sign paperwork and junk for that. So if I disappear, like it just goes to a 3-shot and poof, smoke bomb.
Okay.
Just keep rolling.
We need actual smoke bombs, although I don't think outside of Jill, either one of us would be responsible enough to use them.
The sad thing is I just had to do an inventory mentally. I was like, do I have smoke bombs? I probably have smoke bombs. All right. It's not a meerkat. Easy joke is easy. All right, so that. We get our rundowns ready. We are going to do this.
Yes.
Saw that, but I will be honest with you. I think everybody saw that, they wouldn't blink an eye at this point. Like,
oh, we're doing that today. Okay.
Yeah, it seems legit. With a tiara on, like, yeah. All right. Being able to break out the controls in OBS is a blessing and a curse. Blessing because you could move them around. A curse because you never move them around to the same spots. All right. That's ready, Jill?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
All right, let's not attack that microphone stand this week. I'll do the same. Pedro, you do the same.
Okay. I'll try.
Start recording. Start recording. Come on. There we go. All right. In 3, 2.
Germany embraces open source clouds, and KDE makes progress.
We're shown how to top NVIDIA, and ZDNet tells us about popular distros.
Rebound helps you cheat at programming. It's a good thing. In 1804, that's right, the Ubuntu's is right around the corner. And take a look at that business. But before that, we need to say, it's another great day for Linux, everyone. So let's go. Jill's coughing up a log. 3, 2. And welcome back to Linux Weekly Daily Wednesdays. Yeah, that's right. Time to sit back, relax, and talk about just some of the neat things that we found. I don't know why I'm doing my NPR voice already. I usually save that for the end of the show, but you know me. I'm Old Man Venn, switching the bits, doing all that, and joined every week. That is LA Jill. What's up, Jill?
Yeah. Hello, everyone. In podcast land.
You know it's a Linux Gamecast production because we try to separate the time zones as much as possible because that is one Pedro Mateus joining us from Britannia.
GMT all the way, baby.
GMT. Fortunately, I'm good at doing GMT or UTC. Same difference, different names. What's been going on, Jill? Anything exciting happened since last week, man?
Well, as I said last week, the Linux Chicks were getting ready to do a meetup, teaching people how to install a web server with LAMP.
Mm-hmm.
And what was really nice is that DigitalOcean has donated 6 months free to each of our students, so we can spin up a droplet
Nice.
on. Yeah, so that was really awesome.
Right on. Pedro, exciting stuff.
Not really. I mean, not much happened over the past week. It's just been weird UK weather, which I guess I should be used to it by now. I've been here for, 10 months? Almost. So, yeah.
Deportation paperwork takes time, man.
Oh.
I haven't, not a whole lot. I've been talking back and forwards with Feral, trying to get the Tomb Raider up and running. And yeah, I'll keep everyone updated, but I have some progress to report on that. It's not looking good right now, but I'm glad it's working for a lot of people. Pedro, you didn't have any issues with it.
No, it just worked fine out of the box. So, I don't
And
know.
for Jill, it's working on your AMD card, but not your NVIDIA card.
Yes. And it's an old AMD card at that.
Hey man, no big issues. Let's just get right into this because Deutschland, the government has gone open source with Nextcloud. That makes
Oh
sense somehow.
yes. Yeah, so you may have heard of Nextcloud. They're the fork of OwnCloud from all the way back when. And well, the I'm guessing the German government just went, "Oh, Munich is going back to Windows, but there was something about that open source thing that we should try out. So let's start using Nextcloud." And yeah, here they are. Well, it's still a first effort kind of thing. There's not a whole lot of users using it right now. But right now they are counting about 300,000 in the ministries. So that's significant. Just have people at work using open source technologies, which is great. More governments should be doing that. Portugal, but no, it's good to see. Even though Munich was like the shining example of Linux for a while there, and then oh no, we're going back to Windows. Okay, all right.
Yeah. Great. At least now, at least Microsoft won't be running on the back end like they are the front end in Germany. And they will be using a proper LAMP Nextcloud server. So
Hmm.
that's really awesome. And at least, you know, they are making the open source transition, but you know, going from back end to forward. So they
It's
tried forward and it didn't work for them, but it should have.
it's pretty
But this
wild.
is a
I
good
mean,
solution.
yeah, they've been doing a pilot program with this business for like roughly 5,000 users since October of 2016. So this has been in the works. This
Yeah.
is a thing, and yeah, their whole focus was just the bit of privacy. They're like, we run the entire thing, you know. That's completely understandable, but they do make a point that GDPR, if you don't know what that is, if you're in the States, look it up. This is going to be completely compliant with that. And I'd say neat. Open source technology gets expletive deleted done. Can't use that word on
Yeah.
Wednesdays. All right.
Yeah.
A little bit
Yeah.
of sad news up next is the chip. You know it, you love it. You might have heard of it. Hopefully you've heard of it. It was the $9 computer that like 6 people were able to get. Everyone bought one. It was
Yeah.
a neat piece of kit while everyone tried to order one. And I couldn't find any news about this. Honestly, I think it was Mir that sent over the information because Mir managed to get one. He did a little video on it. It's on our YouTube channel. But if you try to order it, you go to the store right now and it's just like, it's gone. You get an error on the page. Because apparently the Chip Pro, and all chip related devices are no more. They're gone. Deceased. It's kind of sad.
Yeah. It's really, really sad. My husband was trying to get me a chip and a pocket chip, and has been following this for over a year.
Mhm.
And actually, 2 years ago, they were on back order, and then he tried to get one for me for my birthday, and noticed that there were a lot of angry posts on the forums of the orders not coming through, and people, you know, paying for them and not getting them. And I really wanted several of them for my collection, but I'm very happy that he didn't pre-order one and we didn't lose money. So that would have been a thing. But I really do
Yeah.
want one for my collection, so I'm going to be trolling eBay. So
There's bound to be one showing up there soon enough. Probably
Yeah.
at a 300 or 500% markup, but it's it was an interesting concept, the chip. It's pack as much horsepower as you can into a teeny tiny little SoC, and it would have worked were the Raspberry Pi compute module not a thing. Because when you have something that just, oh, it fits into a regular SODIMM DDR3 and it just gives you a whole computer from that one relatively standard interface. Yeah.
I definitely in the boat of, I think all the Kickstarter backers ended up getting one. I never tried to order one. It fell in the category as if I just end up with one, I might play with it. But it just didn't have enough horsepower to do anything for me that would be useful other than just the neat factor. And I was always curious. I know Pedro will back me up on this. I know for well over a year, I was like, I don't know if they're able to actually produce this thing for $9. Now, hear me out. Because he was like, well, I can open up a Mauser Electronics and source this stuff for roughly that price. True, but not when you factor in R&D and packaging, shipping, and everything else involved.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Might explain that initial run and just kind of poof. I don't know. I want more information. If you know anything, send us some information, because I just can't find anything on this in the news, or no one's paying attention. So,
and that's the big one here. It's like, okay, so they're gone. That's, it sucks, but yeah, tech companies come and go. Just let us know what happened. That would be nice, because literally the last blog post was from November 2017. What happened?
We want to know. We want to make a reality too. No, we don't. Plasma Valen for 513, and the future's here, Pedro.
Oh, yes.
The future's here.
It's progress. I wouldn't say the future is here, but it's progress. So in February, Plasma 512 was released, and well, they wanted to improve Wayland support. And with 513, they are trying their best to accomplish that. And the first step was make sure that the Qt QPA platform environment variable did not default to Wayland, because even though there are quite a few Qt applications out there that do support Wayland, there are a few which have a very wide user base, like Telegram. They do not support Wayland, and with that particular environment variable set to Wayland by default, stuff like Telegram just wouldn't start. There was also the issue of screen recorders, because of the way that the way that Wayland does the GUI server. It's mostly based on the compositor, so it doesn't work like X the same way that you would be using like OBS or Simple Screen Recorder or anything else for that matter. In Wayland, everything runs off the compositor. The compositor is a display server, so they had to find a way to make sure that those applications would support Wayland without them having to actually go in and support Wayland. So what they came up with was a little interposer library they called the XDG desktop portal. It's not a library, it's more like an entire subsystem in itself, which, if you've used Flatpaks and you've been developing for Flatpaks, yes?
I think the big story here that kind of puts a smile on my face is they're using Pipewire.
Yeah,
yes,
Pipewire.
Yes, they are. XDG desktop portal and Pipewire is what they're using if you want to do some desktop recording. And XDG desktop portal is what Flatpaks use. So if you've been a flat packager, you probably know about it. It's good to have like a neutral base to targets. Like, okay, so we're targeting that's supported by Flatpaks, universal package and all that. So every single distro should be able to support it if they want to, and that's all that the developers of those screen recorder apps have to support. So it will be nice to see whether or not OBS will support that in time, but it's progress on the Wayland for KDE. Yeah.
So all of this cool stuff comes with the downside of having to use KDE?
Yeah. But it is some cool stuff. We already talked about like the per display scaling. Let's say you have multiple
Ladies and gentlemen,
displays.
I was trolling Pedro. Pedro's trying to argue with me. I'm just having fun. No, it's wicked cool. That Pipewire, all that fun stuff the Fedora Camp's working on is it's like, because one of the things I'm definitely paying attention to is video production and tool chains under Linux. So I'm okay, you have my attention. Wayland, we're going to be talking about that a bit later. Jill, do you have any thoughts on this one?
Oh, it's just nice that there's another distro that's heavily testing Wayland, because we need it to work. We really do.
Well, it's definitely got to work, but
Yeah.
again, we're going to be talking about distributions like, oh, they kind of tapped the brakes on the Wayland thing, and we need to swap that back out. You
Exactly.
kind of can't completely blame them on that. What do we have coming up next? As I realize I have show notes out of order.
NVIDIA top. Yeah, it's a teeny tiny open source tool that what's his name? Person. Yeah, I'm not even going to
Abish?
try.
Yeah,
Abhishek Bijapai. Yes. I butchered that name, but yeah, it's NVIDIA top. It's available on GitHub. It runs on Python. It runs on ncurses. It uses ncurses to do the little terminal user interface, which there's not much interfacing with it. It just gives you like a top style output of what applications are currently using your GPU and the amount of RAM that they're using and a couple other stuff. And he says that he is very much looking for input on what to show when you run NVIDIA top. And I did run NVIDIA top because you could just download the file or just copy over the source code to a blank file and make it executable. As long as you have Python 3 and ncurses installed, it should just run. And it was interesting to see X take over 200 megabytes of RAM to just, work.
Yeah. I think it's actually really, really awesome, and it's really, really useful for me for doing animation and rendering, because I've used their NVIDIA SMI tool quite frequently, actually. So it's wonderful for watching CUDA GPU renders with the Blender Cycles render. And I set up a CUDA GPU animation render in Blender 2.79 to track memory usage in NVIDIA top, which, like top or HTOP, tracks stats continuously. And compared the results, of course, to the NVIDIA SMI utility, which tracks stats statically. And has to be launched every time you want to monitor the GPU, which is really a pain. And I put together a screenshot showing the memory of the two applications running next to each other, so you can see that when you run NVIDIA top, the memory changes over time, whereas the NVIDIA SMI, the memory, of course, stays the same from when you launched it. And I also noticed the memory usage of X, like Pedro did. And I was running the lightweight Flexbox window manager. What the heck is it using over 200 megs to run X for?
It's
Hey. Jill, man, check it out. Lightweight's not what it used to be. This is 2018. 200 megs.
Yes.
Like, that's barely a thing. I tracked this down. Fortunately, this is one of the very, very rare occasions where I did not end up spending an evening reinventing the wheel, because I was all up in the NVIDIA SMI. I was like, I need a visual representation to send to a certain company who made a game that I can't get working, and they're saying something's happening and it's not.
Yeah.
So I cracked this open, and it was able to display what applications were between, because I have a 980 and a 770 in our production box. And it's smart enough to say, this is running on this, this is running on this. And it's also very helpful for tracking down if you're just sitting at idle on your desktop. So what's using 20% of my primary video card for no reason? Nothing's running.
Yeah.
You can hunt those critters down, much like with HTOP or anything like that, and hit them with the low orbit ion cannon. So
yeah,
good on that business. Pedro, you bought a Tegra Shield tablet.
Yes, here it is.
There it is. Look at that.
This is the exploding one. It may explode at any point.
Linux Weekly
That's
Daily
why
Wednesdays
NVIDIA-
delivering props. Delivering props, man. This is a high production joint, what we have here.
So yeah, it could explode at any point. But yes, this one is not affected by this particular exploit, because this exploit is only present in SoCs based on the Tegra X1 chip. That means that the switch, the Shield, not this one, not that one, and not that one either. We're talking about the Shield Android TV console thing that runs on the X1. And the Pixel C are all vulnerable to the, what do they call it? It had a fancy name. Reswitched. They called it the
Reswitched.
reswitched. Yeah, because it works on the Switch. It's based on the X1 SoC, so you can actually trigger it. The exploit, it works off of a bug with the USB stack and how it interprets the commands that it gets. So you can actually send a malformed command and it will run just the arbitrary code you attach to it. So they got a little proof of concept in the screenshot at the top of the article. It's like, oh yeah, a switch being reswitched. So it's an issue, and it's a very significant issue, isn't it, Jill?
Yeah. Yes, it can't be fixed because it's the result of a hardwired fuse that was burned in the manufacturing process. What I like to call a crispy fuse. So that's really bad. I mean, it's you can't fix it with software because it's a hardware issue.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, for a lot of people, the Nintendo Switch just got wicked useful as a little tinker device. But they do make a point on the GitHub page that this is give it maybe another week. But right now, this is not something grandpa or grandma is going to roll out and set up. This, you got to know what you're doing at this point.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind. Just trying to save everybody a little bit of time before they do that.
But hey, they managed to find a way to make the Pixel C useful. That's good.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm staying out of that. Because that's a holy war. So let's talk about something that couldn't possibly lead to any.
No, talk about holy wars.
Okay. All right. This is coming from ZDNet. We like to throw these in every now and then because I am on a mission to stop their page from seizing as it tries to auto-load video. It's kind of hard mode. What is the most popular Linux distribution of them all? If you kind of go through the numbers, they're using DistroWatch, so that's a bit of an RNG, and even DistroWatch is like, yeah, it kind of is. It's a popularity contest. It shows that Mint has been dethroned by an infinitely more user-friendly distro, Manjaro. You might know that. They kind of look at the Google Trends and just kind of speculate. So by this author's reckoning, for end users like Android, and I know somebody's out there, Android, not Linux. Yeah, okay. Whatever lets you sleep. Followed by Chrome OS. Oh, that's not Linux either. Come on.
Yeah, it is.
But followed by, Debian, Ubuntu, and all the Mint variants and all that. Arch and Manjaro are making a desktop move. They are. I mean, that is the new hotness. Mint, back in my day, was the new hotness compared to Ubuntu. I was the weirdo.
Debian Brown edition. Yes.
Right. And server and cloud world, Ubuntu followed by CentOS, RHEL, and Celeste. So that last bit, in the enterprise, and that hasn't changed since forever. So that's like one place where if you walk into a data center, you see like Ubuntu server, you Abe Simpson with your hat and go right back out the door. But you commonly will see Celeste. CentOS, not so much, but that's good for testing if you don't want to pay for a gang of licenses.
Yeah. And they tried, bless them, they tried to get as many stats from as many different sites as they could. StatCounter basically just said, oh yeah, Android is the most popular operating system, period. That means it is beating Windows, according to StatCounter. They also tried net market share, which we've talked about because they were the ones that said that, oh, Linux is hitting 4%. What? So, no, as it turns out, according to their little research there, net market share can't really tell the difference between Fedora, OpenSUSE, or Ubuntu, so not a very good indicator of which distro is the most popular. But if you look at the Google Analytics, yeah, Ubuntu is leading by a significant margin, and it makes sense. I mean, we've heard time and time again Canonical saying Ubuntu is the most popular Linux distro, is the most widely adopted. Yes, granted.
Yeah.
Probably no arguments will ever be had there, as much as certain distro users would like to argue that Arch is the best one.
Well, truthfully, right now the new hotness is Ike's Solus.
Yes.
to us diehards, it's like it's the new hotness, and everyone's been enjoying it and trying it because it's independent, and it's just nice to have another independent Linux from scratch distro out there.
It's underground, man. It comes on cassette tape.
With a beanie and a punching bag.
Great, man. Those are accessories. Yeah, I think the more it's, especially with your desktop, it's, I only say this half jokingly, is whatever the kids are into. It's going to be your leader. And that's the thing. It's good to see Arch, because I love Arch in the very simple fact, even if you installed Targos or something like that, which basically just does it for you, you're still going to learn things because things are going to break with a rolling release. And that's a good thing. But Chrome OS, know it, you love it. It's getting terminal app.
Yes, speaking of popular Linux distros, Chrome OS being perhaps the actual distro between Android and Chrome. Chrome is actually just running the Linux kernel. It runs a different graphical server. It's not exactly X, and it is very much a distro. But these bits of news have actually been making the rounds this week, which is, there's some hints of upcoming Linux support in Chrome OS. There's some hints. It's Linux.
Yeah.
But it's actually been really annoying me, because if it was like the other way around, because right now the big thing about Chrome OS is how it is Linux and it runs Android apps. They're still using like an improved version of Arc that they didn't exactly release to the public, but poking around in my Chromebook, it's like, okay, so how are you running the Android apps? Oh, you're still using Arc. Okay, so that would be nice to see if they actually released Arc to the public and let everyone also run Android apps on their whatever distro they happen to be using. But we're not getting that, and we are instead getting a terminal that will let you basically do what you already get, which Jill brought up in the notes. Jill, what do you already get?
Yeah. There's already a terminal for the Chromebook and the Chrome browser that you could access by enabling developer mode at boot and pressing Control-Alt-T. It's what I used to install Crouton with Ubuntu on my original Samsung 5 Chromebook. And this is back in 2011. And I have it right here.
Yep.
That is my original Chromebook. So, it's they're doing it, this way. It makes it easier for the average user to use, but still, it wasn't that hard before either to run the terminal.
Well, I mean, if it's out of the box, it's probably a good thing. I just kind of look at it because I've given Pedro no small amount of grief about getting a Chromebook because it boggles. Listen, I 100% understand. It's not going to stop me from giving
toy.
I understand it for educational institutions and stuff like that. The Power Wash feature, it's great and it's indestructible on that. But once you start adding things, terminals, the ability to run apps, then you kind of defeat the point of having the Chromebook in the first place. I don't know.
Yeah, I just run Ubuntu on mine, and has great battery life, so it's really good for that. So that's the nice thing about them.
Has great battery life is like saying, man, it can keep a web browser open for a long time.
About
10 hours on my Acer. Yeah, it's pretty good.
I wouldn't be compiling a kernel on it, of course, but and mine's an ARM version. So.
Well, I mean, Google has made some big honking like i7 Chromebooks, and that just hurts me.
The Pixels, the original Pixel Chromebook.
What? You want $1,200 for that? Oh, good luck. I mean, I look forward to getting that off. Well, you'll probably never get them off eBay because they're collector's items. Yeah, those things will appreciate. Let's talk about command line tools that instantly fetch Stack Overflow results when you get a compiler error. This absolutely just sucks all the sport out of it, doesn't it?
Yep.
Does what it says on the tin.
I'm trying to build something. Stack Overflow has the answer.
Yeah. I mean, if you do, you can just install this. All this business is in our show notes, so don't worry about that. Just head over to linuxgamecast.com and take them out. If you get the error, just punch in rebound. We're looking at this right now. It's an animated GIF, whatever. It is going to query Stack Overflow. It was like, yo, man, it's got a nice little menu to go through topics and figure out what's been voted the most. Very in curses. Setup, simple installation, pip install rebound CLI, because that's Python. Yeah, it is. Neat.
Yeah, it's cheat mode for those people still using the terminal for all their code writing and compiling and whatnot. It's cheat mode, and it's it's a better Visual Studio implementation on Linux than we had with Visual Studio Code. Just saying.
Yeah.
I just figure if you're neck deep into doing any of this, you already have a dedicated Stack Overflow or Stack Exchange monitor set up.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just wanted to let everyone know it was out there, and it's Python, so I know Strider will champion it. A year from now, somebody will uncover it, like, what's this in Lutris for? I don't understand. You will accidentally copy and paste it in there. So, the one thing we need to talk about, Eager Beaver, get your mind out of the gutter.
Yes.
We're talking about 1804, Jill.
Yes. Tomorrow, April 26th, is the release of Ubuntu 18.04 LTS Bionic Beaver. And I know what I'm going to be doing tomorrow, installing 1804. Ubuntu users who want to do a distro upgrade, Ubuntu recommends that you wait a month to get the notification to do the upgrade. But I'm just going to do it. I've done it before. I did it when I went from 1404 to 1604. So I think I'm going to go. I'm just going to do it. I've heard from a lot of people it's actually really stable. The beta was actually very stable. So it should be just fine. And there's lots of new features in Ubuntu 1804. I know everyone's been hearing about them for the last year. And of course, GNOME 3.28 is the default display manager now, and there's no more Unity. And the speed, boot speed has been increased thanks to systemd libraries. So it starts up faster. And a new minimal installation option, which installs the base Ubuntu, a web browser, and utilities, is new in 1804 and was also included in the latest Ubuntu Mate. And one of my favorites is installing PPAs requires one less line in terminal now. So when you run add apt repository, apt-get update is automatically run. And it includes, that's awesome. And so when you're doing lots of PPA installs, it'll be a little quicker. And Linux kernel 4.15 will be the default. And what's interesting is they're going back to Xorg as the default display server. Apparently, like we talked about earlier, there are a lot of applications that didn't work well under Wayland in Ubuntu 17.10. So they're switching the default back to Xorg, but you still have the option of installing Wayland. And the server edition installer, it moves from Debian's text base to the Subiquity text UI.
It's Ubiquity with an S at the top.
Exactly. Subiquity text UI, which is a little cleaner and nicer looking. And as we stated in previous episodes of LWW, we got easier live patching with the software and updates utility, which is you could do live patching via GUI instead of terminal, as long as you have an Ubuntu One account. So there's just a
they're still riding that boat.
Yeah, exactly. There's just a whole lot of new wonderful features about 1804, and I'm just excited to be able to be installing a new stable release.
Yeah, I've done just kind of poking around looking for some of the big gotchas because we're currently on 17.10. Normally I would stick with LTS releases like Old Man Pedro has stubbornly. But I moved to 17.10, so this won't be as painful to get up and running with 1804. I did notice I was kind of doing boo words because they're going to be shipping with 4.15. It's like, you're really shipping? And I understand why, but I got to say this because it's kind of funny and I don't want to say it like this. You're shipping with a kernel that just reached end of life.
Yeah, that was
No
interesting.
more active development on 4.15.
I know it's
I guess
timing.
it's
I know
stable.
things need to get tested, and trust me, there's stuff with 4.16 that I'm not running 4.16 right now because of reasons. I dig it. It has a bunch of help things for GNOME, which should include therapy because I was a GNOME earlier. You have my respect if you can deal with GNOME and its bounciness and stuff moving around. I was like, leave me alone, desktop manager. I just want to open a terminal. It's a good piece of kit. Don't try it out much later. So I need every one of you to go out there and blindly update it and install it and get all the bugs hammered out. So like 2 or 3 months from now, we can do the update after the 0.1 release.
Yeah.
I'm totally going to be one of those people. Because yes, like Venn already mentioned, I'm still running 1604, and well, it's been running okay. It's been running really well. It's perhaps the I installed Ubuntu Mate 1604 basically when Martin got me to 1080. Appreciate it, Martin. Thank you very much. And it's been running that particular install since then. It had an SSD die in the middle of it, but I just basically took the image from that I had gotten and just restored it, so it's technically still the same install. And it's been running well enough, but yeah, it's getting a little long in the tooth. So 1804 is probably going to break in spectacular ways. Very much looking forward to it. It's probably going to be the time that I switch to Solus. If only they supported RAIDs in their installer, Ike.
Hey, but before we get done with the news, we need to talk about our new favorite segment, Microsoft Hearts Linux.
Yes, yes. They say they do, anyway.
Visual CC, Visual CC, yes. New language invented by yours truly. Visual C++ team blog announcing a single C++ library manager for Linux, Mac OS, and Windows VC package. Yes, we've won. As Linus once said, once Microsoft starts making Linux programs, we've won. And
yes.
Joel,
they've gone past making programs. Now it's entire library sets.
Explain
Unleash
this
the
nightmare.
penguins.
Tell me about
Oh, okay. Well, I is my first gut reaction was, is anyone really going to be using Visual C++ to create programs for Linux other than Microsoft? And yes, I think that is a yes. After I thought about it, it's nice that it is cross-platform compatible, has cross-platform compatibility with Linux and Mac.
Mm-hmm.
And it has the potential to produce many more programs for Linux that were only available on Windows, which is nice. So we got to think about that that option as well. But there was already as Venn mentioned, there was already a compiler that let you go over to cross-platform Visual C, C++, FIPS.
Yeah, FIPS
and
is
I've never
thing.
used that.
Yeah, that was the first thing I thought of. I was like, wait a minute, FIPS already does this. But you got to understand, Microsoft's doing this because Microsoft's rolling out a bunch of Linux tools. It's rolling out its own distributions of Linux. And these are tools that it's going to be using internally. So the one good thing you can say about Redmond is, like, okay, we had to make this. You guys can use it too. Anything that helps and simplifies cross-platform development, I'm for, even if it comes from Microsoft. This is
exactly
a usable tool, unlike that Visual Basic, whatever they tried to glorified text editor they released.
Yeah, Visual Studio Code.
Dude, Visual Basic's got a decent debugger in it. No one's going to argue that. But whatever they released on Linux, I don't know what that was. This one, I was kind of on board with this. Microsoft wins because they're unifying the library stack. It's the one library stack for all the operating systems, so chances are things are just going to work, and it's going to make their life a heck of a lot easier. But then I read this particular sentence from like the very first paragraph of the article. This gives you immediate access to the VCPKG catalog of C++ libraries on 2 new platforms with the exact same simple steps you are familiar with on Windows and the Universal Windows platform today. Now, that is, my brain went, oh god, releasing Universal Windows platform applications on Linux.
Yes.
Oh, god.
Yeah, it's probably coming.
Something Electron.
Yeah, at least Adobe won't have an excuse now.
No, they're going to revive Air.
Air's back.
Yeah, they're gonna.
And this time it's out for vengeance. Hey, that's going to do it for the news. We want to thank everyone for making this possible. Before we get into the slice of pie, we definitely want to thank a couple of new people who joined us on Patreon. Hey, if you're thinking about this nonsense, you're like, hey, I kind of like this. It's pretty cool. Maybe I want to support these yahoos. Head over to linuxgamecast.com, tap the support button. We got the patrons. We got the Amazon links. Thanks to everyone shopping through those, especially the Humble Bundle and wishlist stuff. Hey, Trugs picked us up arts and crafts because he sent in a little note and he picked up our wish zone. It was some wallpaper and a shelf that I can't really see yet because I don't have the shot set up for it, but he sent in a little note because you can do that, and I always like reading these because sometimes they're bad, but I can read this one on the show. Enjoy your gift. You need more cheap things on your list. He bought all the cheap stuff on the list. I love you, Trugs. You're
Yay,
awesome.
Truggy.
Thank you for doing that. But we have a couple of new patrons we need to thank, Pedro.
Yes, we do. Mr. Frostclaw20, you may have seen him. He's been in Discord already chatting up people.
Yes.
You, careful. Oh, too late. You've summoned the shilling penguin.
There he is. The penguin making it rain. Yes, Mr. Frostclaw also made it rain on us. Thank you very much. He now has access to our Discord, which you can also get if you go to linuxgamecast.com/support will give you the link, but it's patreon.com/linuxgamecast. And Jay Rulio, which was one of our existing Patreons that has increased his pledge. Thank you very much.
Man, we are jumping up on the... now we are less than $20 away from the audio stream. After that... Oh, no.
Yes.
See, this is the Pepsi challenge right there, setting up Alpha side. But you make this business possible. Without you, we'd be reading ads about mattresses and Jell-O or something. But we also do a couple of extra shows just for you lot. And Pedro, you're doing a Tuesday show. You played some Strafe. You ran around sideways, buddy.
Indeed. And I actually did not expect it to go that well, but I didn't die a single time. So... that went well.
Tune in tomorrow as Jordan plays ? We don't know. It's going to be a thing, and I'll be around Friday for the Friday Food Bar. And sometimes, well, I think sometimes Jill always shows up, so me and Jill play video games.
Yeah.
You just got to deal with it. That's what we do now. Sorry, Steve. Friday and Saturday now, buddy.
I know.
That's definitely a thing. Thanks again, everyone, for making this possible. This is a fun ride. We enjoyed doing this. That's enough the shilling. Let's get into the slice of pie, where we're going to talk about anything that's teeny and tiny and electric powered, like a lesson in wireless engineering from the Raspberry Pi. We're talking about antennas, Jill.
Yeah. This actually was an amazing story. It's how they use how they track the wireless capabilities of devices, and they go into an antenna chamber, it's called, and it doesn't allow wireless signals to go out or in.
You call that whatever you want. I just want one in my house.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, no.
I want one in my house.
Totally.
But what the article is about, actually, it's amazing that the Raspberry Pi 0W and then the new Raspberry Pi 3B antenna achieves amazing performance for its size, cost of development, and $10 price tag. It's really, really amazing. And because of this, a lot of SoCs and embedded devices can use this tiny antenna and achieve wonderful results. They were this test, they were amazed by the results that the Pi achieved. It was really, really amazing.
Because
Kept the
he
decibels.
started.
Yeah.
He started the article by saying, "Oh, so hidden antennas and low-profile antennas—they're like the biggest enemies of reception. And if you are creating a hotspot, the way to get the radiation out there and getting the other devices to radiation.
You're holding it wrong,
word.
Pedro.
Yeah.
It's really hard to get a good signal if you're using a teeny tiny low profile or a hidden antenna. And yet with the Raspberry Pi Zero, even though it's right there on the PCB, you can see it's got a little arrow shape to it. It's really good. and it's really, really good. And this particular article, I was reading through it, it's like, wow, this is he knows what he's talking about. And then I got to the end of the article. Okay, he's an RF engineer with
Pedro,
several years
Pedro,
of experience.
Anybody who has that room or access to that room probably knows what they're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, he does a lot of hardware, RF hardware design and antenna design. So he knows what he's talking about. And if he's saying that the Raspberry Pi Zero antenna is good, probably should be paying attention.
I've never tried wireless on any of my Pis. I think I have like 2 Metal Bs with. I assume it worked. It's always a thing. I'm always around some Ethernet noodles, so
yeah,
plug that in. It's good to know that it does. Did he test the compute module or just? The
compute module doesn't have a built-in Wi-Fi thing. It's the Raspberry Pi 3,
Pedro,
the 3B Plus, the Zero W.
Pedro. Everything has a Wi-Fi if you're brave enough.
Yeah. Just throw it at something. Look, no wires.
Hey man, that was 1 bit. I'm doing this old school. Interesting article. Just to find out, it was like, oh, I learned something accidentally. That's neat. What do we got up next? Audio files. This is up next, as he hit the wrong button. Silence, ladies and gentlemen. Raspberry Pi DAC hat. That's right. No, you didn't mishear me. DAC, digital audio converter hat. Has dual 24-bit DACs and 128 decibel signal to noise ratio. This is like audiophile level stuff, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. You can pick up it's currently on Kickstarter right now. You can just get the board, the add-on board by itself for $175. That's a $5 stacking header and 25. It's got a 3 amp power supply and all this business. But if you want the full Monty with a touchpad and everything else, because I mean you can make this a solid looking piece of kit, $574. That sounds crazy. And to talk to an audiophile who's got like $9,000 headphones, and you're like, woo. But they have it in configuration. It's got dual XLR mini jack inputs plus RCA. And this thing is supposedly amazing. I don't know. This is at 500 plus a Pi. It includes the Pi. If you buy the full 500 thing, it includes the Pi. Okay. That's pretty cool. That's completely different than I thought I was going to have to buy the $35 Pi, Pedro. So this changes what I was about to, my opinion on it completely. This is a must buy. It's too much value. I don't know who this is aimed at, because once I start getting to $500, I can get some other hardware. This just doesn't seem like, oh, I'm going to buy one of those to tinker with. This seems like here's $17 worth of surface mount components. Give us $500. I think this is one of those niche products. It's the audio person that's also into the DIY stuff, and they're trying to build a specific device that they need because they want to take it somewhere, or because they need it to fit into a very specific enclosure. And well, this the moment you slot the hat into the GPIO pins of the Raspberry Pi, it's really not that much taller than, say, the Ethernet port. So it's going to fit that form factor relatively well. So I can see why that would be useful, but at $175 for the base hat, it's on Kickstarter right now. Eventually, it should be a final product, but my guess is, even, once the Kickstarter is over and they're successful, because I'm sure they will be, it's still going to be a very niche product. It's still going to be a very, very expensive, very low production type of thing. And admittedly, even though I'm not exactly an audio person, the $500 and something kit sounded appealing until I realized, that's like 400 pounds. It's a bit expensive. I mean, but if we're talking about this, what is it shipping with? Dual TI Burr Brown DACs, noise floor in this, minus 106 dB. It's not bad. 1624-bit up to 192K on your resolution. But again, that 100 plus price, because we're recording right now.
Yeah.
Thank you, Maddie. You're awesome. You're my favorite this week. I'm trying to do my Twitch streamer. When you get bits or whatever, however that works. I'm not very good at that. It's a HD 404, which has all those gangs of features, and it's like $99, and it comes in a like built tank case too. Yeah. So
I guess you're paying for the form factor and the limited availability, I guess.
If we're gonna sell this to audio files, we need to it needs to come with like moon rocks or beads or something, and say they give it magical audio powers. So audio
and
files will buy it.
PBR.
Well, what it does have going for it it doesn't require a preamp, and it takes mini XLR input. So that's really cool. And I know the company Orchard Audio. I remember I have some devices with their chipsets in them that came from the aerospace industry. So I was like, I know this audio company. Okay. So yeah, they're used to dealing with very expensive products.
The lowest bidder.
Yeah.
The apple pie DAC. It's a thing.
It's brilliant. Yes. Again, all this is in our show notes before we get out of here. We do take a bit of feedback. If you want to scream in our direction, talk to us, ask a question. You never know. We like to hear from anyone who is patient enough to get this far in the show. You should get a Steven achievement for it. Yes, a Steven achievement. You can do that. LinuxGamecast.com. Tap that contact button. Fill it out. Send it over. We'll get to it. It doesn't necessarily always have to be about stuff that's on the show. Leave us a YouTube comment. That works. Pedro and I get around to reading those occasionally. They are there. Coming up this week, what do we got? I think we got two little pieces coming in. One from Arthur.
Yeah, this was actually one of his story suggestions, but it wasn't really a story. It was an interesting bit, so here it is. New Manjaro spin-off with the Jade desktop environment. Just another desktop environment, hence the Jade name, made with web technologies / Electron thingy. Another case of just because you can doesn't mean you should. Yeah, we've talked about this. We covered a very similar project a while back, or it may even have been the project that then turned into Jade for all I know. Because yes, this is a desktop environment running on Blink for all intents and purposes.
Explain that to me like I was paying attention.
Okay, so you know how your browser can actually do some basic compositing, and it can create its own little windows, and if you care enough, it can basically run your entire computer like Google did with Chrome OS.
Wait, is this like some type of like Chrome OS on hard mode? Is that what
almost, yes. Without any of the Google support behind it or being able to run Android apps, but it's a complete desktop environment, or at least a window manager, or running on web technologies. So if you've ever wanted JavaScript to run your desktop environment,
yeah.
There you go.
I was just going to say, it looks like some of the old Sun Java interfaces that were on live CD in the 90s. So,
hey, you you can blow up Sun all you want, but as somebody who used to spend a lot of time having to install Solaris on like Sabertooth architecture that took 4 months, they at least included a web browser in the install.
Yes.
So you could surf. Hey, that's the thing. Technology, maybe you like it. Go check it out. We were talking last week for a hot second about statistics, just actual numbers of Linux. And Angel wrote in, because this is not our gaming show, but, we brought up the Steam survey. And as part of that, Bright said, it's like, guys, do you really think Steam only does telemetry when you get the hardware survey? Get real. They know your platform. As soon as you log in your Steam client, they can measure that stuff. To which I'll retort, you do realize that two of the people on the show have done the longest running Linux gaming podcast, and we know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Valve is a private company. They basically owe investors nothing. They don't have a public they don't have stocks that are traded publicly. They answer to no one but, the law enforcement agencies basically. So yeah, they basically can do whatever they want. And yes, we know that they are very much capable of getting, okay, we have exactly these many Linux users, but they're not doing that.
No,
You
the
wanna
only
know
thing
why?
we're talking about
Because
with the
they-
Steam surveys, the Steam survey is
funny.
the public facing, the only numbers that we can really is like who's gotten a survey, and we can kind of just talk about that, like that number. Yeah, they don't mean anything. I wrote back on the YouTube comments, like, you're 100% right. And yeah, Steam surveys are junk. You want to trigger a Steam survey, install Steam in a wine bottle, then log back into your Linux desktop client, and boom, surprise survey. And they even know when you're running wine. It's I don't know. I honestly think Steam surveys is going to avoid dev null. It is just there to make you think, look, we're keeping track of these metrics. I don't know.
And they have to at least have something that's public facing to justify the numbers that they put out. If you go to store.steampower.com/HW survey, you get the aggregate numbers that they get from those surveys. And we don't really know if those are just the numbers of the people who got the little survey pop-up, or if they're actually representative of the entire active Steam community. We don't know. That's the thing. We don't know anything about Valve's numbers because they're selling that for a heck of a lot of money. I'm guessing, because we don't know that for sure either.
I forgot to cut my ringer off on the mobile. It finally went off. I had to mute myself. It's like, hey, you know the new thing about being the Google Voice beta? It makes all your tablets ring again like it used to.
Yes.
Yeah, it's pretty annoying. Well, I mean, if you're still curious about stats, you can head over to Steam. So, all right.
Yeah.
Thanks, privacy and all that fun stuff. Which is a good thing. We don't know. It's a hot mess. Kind of like this show, but we enjoy doing it so much that we'll see you again next week. Come check us out. Jordan tomorrow, me Friday, and all of us, the gang of humanity, shall return Saturday night for a big show. And it's going to be a thing. Until then, we're going to tap the credits and see what happens. I don't know. Do I get credits? There they are. Boom.
Hey, yes.
Yay!
Made it through another one.
Oh.
Yeah, another week. Bunch more Linux news.
What was it? It must have been shorter than last week.
55 minutes. So
yes, yes,
okay.
it was.
So yes, it was under an hour. Yay! Yeah, that time I could tell. Thank you, chat room.
Yeah. Also, let us know. Do you like the longer ones or the shorter ones? I mean, this is the midweek thing, so if you like shorter ones, we totally get it.
Let's pretend that
Yeah.
anybody has any say in how long these things are.
Yes, pretend being the operative word there.
Pretend.
We love you.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
chat room.
These are going to be 15-minute hot takes when I get done with them in post. All right, let's export this. Hang on, let's get over to that scene. After show. All right, now we export it. Save project. I saw a Tesla broke down on the side of the road. I don't know if it was broke down. This was today. I was in a hurry to get back here for the show, so
yeah.
I was going to stop and be like, hey, man, what's wrong with your Tesla?
Oh.
It's almost as if I have an investment going on.
Dude, I wanted to cash that karma check because I'm getting a Tesla, so I wanted to at least have one of those in the bank to where I was like, I genuinely ran out of power, and you are effed if you run the mains out. The battery's flat on a Tesla because they're all really difficult to get towed. You have to have the right person to do it. And yeah, and it takes a long time with a portable generator to charge one up. And that's something I can tell you from personal experience, especially when it's like half a mile down the road and Artard didn't charge his Tesla up.
Oh, was it? Fuck, I forgot. Never mind.
Matthew. And I'm so happy, Matthew, you're back home here in LA. We're gonna have to have an LGC party too. Maybe Saturday, but it's gonna depend on how.
Strider,
how,
you're getting really good at drawing circles, little buddy. You're almost there.
Almost.
Almost.
It's a bit wobbly.
You're making a lot of progress in your circle drawing, though.
I mean, the oval one that looks almost passable.
Well,
yeah.
listen. Here's what he wore himself out on the first one. He almost got that down. So the
and then with the last one,
sloppy.
it's just like, nah.
Yeah, Foxy, thank
Okay,
you.
I
Yes,
need to
yeah,
pee.
I
I'll be
was
right
reading
back.
about that. Yeah, well, Patrick, we'll have to have. We do our LGC parties, of course, at least once a month. So, and you're going to be out of town a lot, so you'll have to catch the next one, I guess.
Oh, yeah. M. Night Shyamalan twist. I attend. No show. Saturday.
I need to see Matthew soon, so maybe yeah, we can go out to eat too. I miss Matthew.
Jill, like, seriously, like, when we're all flying, just let me know what he's got on you. I'll see if I can take care of it. You don't have to pretend you like him.
Oh. Aw.
Oh, let's see. Where is our boop? That's right. Oh, do you want another one, Sildat? Because that's how you get another one. Right.
So that.
I don't know. Let's see. So, okay. I've been thinking, Jill, you want to play around with that tank game?
For Saturday or Friday.
Friday.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
I was thinking tank, and maybe we can explore the Jackbox thing a little more, because we only played one.
Oh, that sounds great. Yeah.
If we have enough people show up Friday, we'll play around, because I just want to see how they work.
Okay. Yeah, definitely before you run it on Saturday.
Before we do it on Saturdays, because if you want to see just going in blind and like multiple people having no idea what's going on or how to play, Saturday's got you covered.
Yeah.
So, and you can listen to Truggy for like a solid 45 minutes going, it's not showing the same thing on...
Yeah, I know. That was funny.
It's like, no, it's not drugs, but it's still not showing the same thing. I totally understand the confusion. I mean, even sitting running the board, it's like, oh, it took Jordan to figure out. We had to decrypt how it worked. We had no idea.
Yeah.
And
well, next time it could explain, what you need to do. Like, go to their website and then simultaneously run the live stream. We can explain that a little more. But everyone else got it. It was just poor Truggy.
Admittedly, it took a minute to figure out.
It took everyone. Yeah, it took us all a while. I was reading about it, and I'd already been playing with it.
And if anyone's wondering, it is native. I mean, it's Shockwave Flash, the whole Jackbox series, and that's, I mean, it's not running through some Eon wrapper. It's not running in one. Yeah, Mr. Red, it's not World of Tanks. It is, what is it called? Foxy.
Shell Shock?
Shell Shock.
Shell Shock, yeah. And no, Truggy, we love you. We know it was confusing. Because it was confusing, even for me. But I'd actually never played them. Had gone through the interface and read it. So.
See, that goes against most everything I stand for, Jill.
Yeah. Oh. I like to research and be prepared before.
Oh, I do that for the show, but
Yeah.
I'm not burning the comedy.
In the after show, yeah.
The comedy, which is me trying to figure something out, is like, no, I'm gonna save that for the people so they can experience it.
Yeah, that is fun. That makes it fun. And
If it wants to stop being hit with a stick, it'll start working. All right. Got that. Okay. What else we got going on?
Yeah, my bladder was about to explode.
Dude.
Oh yeah.
That's the 3 12 ounces
Oh.
plus the arch cup plus the one I'm working on right now.
Yeah, this was like, oh, you've had like over a liter of beer. You need to pee, and we were like halfway down
Halfway
the stories.
through. Oh.
It's like, oh crap. Okay,
Oh.
okay. Hold on.
What?
No, dude, we need to go like right now. Hold on. Just another
Poor
half hour.
Man, you need to like just send me a message like in a back channel chat because I can easily drag the show out another 10 minutes.
Oh, okay.
But no, it was fine. I feel much relieved now.
Poor guy.
I'll see.
At least you could hold it. I can't hold it.
I got the I wonder if I can move that camera over just a bit so you guys can. Yeah, I'll do that Saturday. I got a whole shelf here with like a collection of AMD CPUs on it.
Oh, cool, cool. I can't wait.
MD fanboy.
No, it's NVIDIA. See, I there's a picture in Discord because it was early or late. It's always dark down here, which is great. But I just put it up because, you know, it came in like a box that was like this big and it's got 19 shelves in it. And of course, so I put it up, mounted it on the walls. I was like, oh, that's cool. I need something to put on there just to weight test it, see if I need to put any like anchor screws in this. So I went and just walked upstairs and grabbed an armful of AMD CPU boxes and put them on there. And I was like, oh, that looks pretty good. Where's the LED lighting? All right, let's light it in green. NVIDIA green. Let's dial that in. And I was like, there we go. Posted that with hashtag Team Blue.
Yes.
Like 100% RGB3 color space capable.
It was like, haha, yeah, I know, it's a joke. Everyone laughed. Strider's like, you need to get a better camera. I don't get the joke. You're making it funny. And I'm like, dude, I shot that like walking away from it over the shoulder, man. It's like, God, see, stupid joke. Get it hard.
Yeah.
And
Matthew.
Yeah.
Oh, poor Pedro.
All the
Aw.
exploding things.
Yeah.
Actually, we don't really know if the battery issue with the NVIDIA Shield is that it explodes. It could be that it just starts leaking really bad and
No.
doesn't hold any charge.
it is going to blow the fuck up, and it's going to take. It is going to Gus Fring you. In the most unforgivable sin, it will not be live.
That's why it's always on this desk. That's why it's always here.
Yeah, when I was reading that article, and I go, oh, poor Pedro.
Yeah, no, this
One
one
of your
still has the
favorite,
old K1, so it's
Yeah.
not vulnerable to that.
It's not vulnerable.
But
yeah.
yeah, if you bought the Shield, no, not that one. You
I still have the
also-
first. Yeah.
like the first one with the touchscreen in the controller.
Yeah, actually, I have the first device with a Tegra chip in it, and that was the Boxy
Yeah.
box.
Oh.
Yeah, I still have that, and the community is still, you know, they're still updating it, and you can still use it for Plex and
To the
all
Googles.
the wonder. Yeah.
Yeah, my first tablet was the Asus Transformer TF300T, which came with the
Oh,
Tegra 3, I think.
Yeah, the 3. Yeah.
Yeah.
Boxy box. Okay, let's take a look at this thing.
Yeah.
Huh. I wouldn't expect that to have a Tegra in it, but okay.
Oh yeah. It's still, you know what? I still have it hooked up. Compared to the Roku and everything, it's still faster, if you can believe it. Still faster.
No, Ven's just in a random website about a makeup box.
Oh, Ben.
What?
Now I'm looking. Instead of a boxy box.
Listen, this is legit. I typed in boxy box.
Maybelline? You did. Isn't it Maybelline?
Oh, I remember that. I remember exactly why I didn't get that thing, because it had to be on top. Giggity.
Yeah.
Because of
it was the first device with the keyboard on the remote.
It was that jacked up shape though, and you couldn't insert it anywhere. And then I remember seeing an interview with one of the company faces that had to do. It was like, yes, and that's why we designed it, so it always had to be on the top. And it's like, you also designed it where I wouldn't buy one. So you didn't think that one all the way through, did you?
Well, it was funny because they came to scale and did a presentation. And I had the first generation component plasma
I'm calling BS,
TV.
man. It's got a Netflix button. I don't see a chill button.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no chill button.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
Jill,
originally that's okay. Originally they said it would only work with HDMI devices, which was true unless you bought one. There was one special adapter to go to component that would work on my plasma, and he kept saying, "Oh, it won't work on plasma TVs with the component. You have to have a newer HDMI set." And I actually raised my hand and I said, wait a minute. I've been doing some testing on this and I've bought a few devices that it works with, and here they are. And then afterwards, a lot of people came over and were like, right on, Jill, you told them. But I wasn't rude to him. I just said, in my experience, I have found, that there are other devices, converters that work with it just fine. But
See,
I did buy
I'm imagining Jill like the Simpsons comic book guy. It's like, well, actually.
Yeah, well, it was cute because I actually got an ovation. Jill bringing it.
Yeah, even if it is relying on HDMI for Ethernet, audio, video, and whatnot, you can. There are adapters. If there are a couple of adapters that have like the Ethernet port down the side, you plug in HDMI one side, it comes out as VGA on the other.
Yeah.
And it's got an audio 3.5mm jack on the other, so you can just run an aux cable to the TV or whatever.
Yeah. Well, the unique thing about it, actually, I had about 10 different converters that I bought just to kind of play to see which one would work the best. And the issue it wasn't true 1080p. For the converter to work, it had to be 720p.
Ooh.
And that was the trick. So, and a lot of people were having problems trying to figure that out. And I spent hours on it trying to figure this out. And I go, as soon as I brought it down to 720, it was just fine. So, and then later on, they made adapters that it worked with 1080. But yeah, it was an interesting troubleshooting bit that I did. And I even posted it on their forums.
Yeah, one thing about HDMI is HDMI 2 is out. It's a thing. It exists. It supports 4K at 60 hertz. It supports a bunch of different stuff, but nothing's using it. We're all still stuck on HDMI 1.4 or whatever it is. It's like, why?
Yeah, it's so annoying because it's been out a while.
Yeah.
TVs, man. TVs are something. Listen, the TV industry kind of like backed up a little bit because they're like, wait a minute, we're going to make these TVs every 2 or 3 years. People are going to buy a new TV. And everyone ever went, no, we're not.
Yeah.
It's something you're going to buy once every 5 to 7 years. And 5 years is lowballing it too. Because I'm still hanging on to a plasma TV that I have that I don't even think it's 40 inches, but I paid over $8,000 for this stupid thing.
Oh, yeah.
Way back when. And it weighs a ton and it dims the lights when you cut it on.
Yeah.
But I'm not replacing. I don't watch TV. But that's one of the reasons I mean, you can get a TV, I'm sure, with new HDMI 2 point whatever, but for what?
Yeah. Exactly.
FreeSync?
Yeah, free
4K?
Yeah, that's the only thing. Is our 4K TV?
It's 2018. Most of the stuff's going to be built into it that you're going to be watching any of that content on. It's going to be on Netflix. It's going to be on Amazon, whatever, and they're going to put.
And it's going to have a DisplayPort 1.4a or at least a 1.3, and it does most of that stuff, so it's fine.
And then there's going to be the one person that's like, it doesn't have component, and it's like, good.
Yes. I was really, really bummed when our plasma died. That thing, it lasted for over a decade. It was actually the second model of Samsung. It's all metal. The thing, weighs a tremendous amount, but the quality of it was so beautiful because they went all out on those things. And in fact, I still think it looks better than our new 4K TV.
Dude, I mean,
it's got the blacks, it's got the, it's what everyone's trying to achieve now with the black levels. We had on our old plasmas for the first couple generations because they spent so much money on them and went all out.
Well, plasma is a great technology. It's just not very power efficient. That particular TV was definitely metal. I mean, I know you'd been home once or twice, and you're like, "Where's it at?" Is already went to a Slayer concert. You're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
But I mean, OLED's going to be a thing in 10 years.
Yeah. The OLEDs are beautiful, but the irony of it is they're still trying to achieve the black levels of plasma.
Well,
because the gas was
you
just,
have individual LED lighting.
Yeah,
with
per
OLED,
LED lighting. Yeah.
You can't get a better black level than off.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we're seeing that with HDR, but OLED, you're looking at the lifespan of OLEDs wicked short comparatively.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. That's why they use them in phones and not
smaller screens. Well, that's another issue is the
Yeah.
yield on them too.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, chopping up that mother glass for that business.
Yeah, that was a technology I just wish they
phones-
could have gotten more efficient, but they couldn't.
Yeah. Most phones nowadays have like a teeny tiny. It's either AHIPS or AMOLED if you're going for the high end. And yeah, it's for a phone. It's fine.
Well, all my pre-3s are pre-2 and pre-3s. WebOS phones are still running fine in their OLED because they made them right, So.
Well, I mean, OLED shows up on. I mean, this stupid monkey thing has an OLED display on it.
Yeah, all the new stuff. Yeah, the pre-3 was the first phone with an OLED.
Yeah, my cheapo Huawei. What is it? The P9 Lite. It's got an IPS display. It does 720p, which for a 4.7-inch display, it's fine. That's good.
Aw.
Ooh, people who get into arcade cabinet restorations.
Yeah.
That's when you know you're dealing with someone who has a lot of money.
Yeah.
They have that room where it's just, oh, look at all of these cabinets I restored.
Well, Empty is doing that right now.
Yeah. You threw a lot of money in that room. A lot of money.
Yeah, he was telling me about it when he was here, and I'm looking forward to seeing it all finished.
Actually, speaking of arcade cabinets, that was one of the things for Distance during their Kickstarter. They had the arcade cabinet level, which they, kudos to them, they have delivered. It's just that the game is still in early access.
Yeah. Well, I know their original demo was in C, actually, before they moved to Unity. And I still enjoy playing the original. And
Yeah, they Nitronic Rush was their project while they were still at MIT.
Yeah, and it's fun because you can download the old Nitronic Rush maps for a distance.
Those restorations are subsidized by the French Ministry of Culture. Oh yeah, yeah. If you have someone else to pay that for you, yeah.
We are now plus 1 tank of acetylene.
Oh, cool! Awesome.
Also, one of my projects this week might be making a blast furnace. Yes, my neighbors love me.
Oh.
Arcade cabinet, man. I got a bunch of friends that do the arcade. I just can't get into it because every time I see something like that, I'm like, I'm gonna have to move at some point, and that's coming with a house. Like, I have no illusions. This desk comes with the basement with a house.
Yeah.
It's there. It's a part of it
Awesome.
now.
It's perfect. Yeah.
Just the idea of repositioning this thing, which is in the immediate future, is frightening. Even though I was smart enough to put it on those pads.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
The one little wise thing I did, hardwood down here, like the rest else. So it might not be that much of a nightmare. I don't know. I'm gonna break the S out of all the things with it. I don't know. Probably worth live streaming.
Yes, definitely.
Oh,
Room arranging tour.
big room. Yeah. What else we got going on? I need to check my emails. Shadrill, anybody up to anything before we bounce out of here?
Still that restores arcade cabinets.
like empty.
Oh, by the way, I keep forgetting we do still own the Twitter account Radeon Roy.
You know, that picture of Sandy was just...
Hey, it works, man. It's still there. I was like, who was it? What was the guy's name?
Roy Taylor. From AMD.
AMD.
Yeah, the VP of Sales, who sent me an email at one point. Do you have the email for Linus Torvalds? Yeah, it's commonly available. Oh, he didn't reply. I sent him an email to that one, and he didn't reply. So, he's a busy guy. Give him a couple of days.
Hang on.
Really
let me pick up the bat phone real quick for you.
Yeah.
That's a... I don't know. AMD's come a long way. I mean, I think by the end of this year, I would almost feel comfortable picking up a, like one of those Navi cards we were talking about last Saturday.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like something with 1080 performance for $300. So if you can deliver on that, I'm for it.
Yeah,
The
definitely.
thing is, AMD really needs to start actually delivering on those promises, because they keep promising stuff like that. We just don't see it.
It's an interesting time with the GPP and stuff like that. NVIDIA's marketing, the way they're playing that, pretty slick right now. The way AMD's coming out and they're like, hey man, you know, we're open. We're not trying to force companies to do all this shady stuff.
It's like, we have this FreeSync product, and we've been open sourcing all of our tools, so yeah, we're not forcing you into any exclusivity agreements.
Well, they got that, and they're like, hey, and we're announcing our own gaming brand. See, NVIDIA, you don't have to like force other companies to remove AMD products from their existing lineup of gaming brands and rename them to something else.
That's the thing. People don't really need to learn
Nope.
how to AMD as far as, software development goes. It's AMD that needs to learn how to AMD.
Well, built into the 416 kernel, I mean, you're dealing with the people who port games. That industry is a zeppelin on fire right now, crashing because, outside of custom engines, which are something you really don't see outside of massive development houses, you're going to be dealing with Unity, and you're going to be dealing with Unreal Engine.
Yep.
And to a far lesser extent, CryEngine. All of which, I mean, far as Unreal Engine and Unity, they've made it dead simple to get your Linux port shipped.
And the only way you're not going to get a Linux version by clicking the export button, at least one that starts and kind of sort of works, is if you start getting into the DX9 custom shader thingies that the Unreal Store and the Unity Store have. That is when your Linux support is going to go down the drain, which is, I'm guessing, why we don't have Killing Floor 2 on Linux.
Well,
that's what they said.
That has been used too often as a get out of Linux free card now.
Yeah.
They're like, we can't do it. And even on the topic of wine, man, what is it, DVDK?
DXVK.
DXVK. Interesting piece of kit. We're seeing that used more and more to play things that previously you could not run.
And if we get proper Vulkan support on Wine, it should be relatively easy, as far as Wine development goes, to get DXVK all up and running, since, that Vulkan support is already built in.
It's interesting times.
Yeah.
Hi, Steve Husband. Hi, Pizza Dude. Pizza Dude. Pizza Dude.
CSMT is built into Wine. They basically have the complete CSMT implementation with Wine 3.0. So now it's just getting DX11, the last few bits of DX11 up and running. Which staging, and according to Strider, staging 3.6 will be available in the Lutris repository soon. So, if you still have that one game that doesn't work with Wine, maybe it'll work with Wine staging 3.6.
I mean, it might, if I was going to support developers who didn't support Linux.
If you already have the game, by all means, don't go out and buy it. Oh, it's already there. All right.
Oh no, man! It's already here. I was uploaded during the show. Well, considering how new DXVK is,
and the point that it's gotten to in such a short time span,
right?
Yeah.
I was talking about Saturday. The only thing I'm worried is it's not a legitimate way to get your game to Linux, though, out of the box.
No.
No.
I mean, we're getting to the point. We're getting to that point where, if a game developer wants to, they don't even need to pay virtual programming to do it for them. They can just use Wine and look, it's got a Linux version. Not really, but it works on Linux.
Well, that was virtual programming's thing, man. It's like DX11, we have a solution for that, followed by, we got a solution for it now, too. Like, oh.
Yeah, Wine, yeah, it does that too now.
So, I was surprised about virtual programming. I didn't have to white knight. It seems people like, you should be grateful because they're making... It's like, listen, I had a very, very serious education from some friends that have Macs and like the game about virtual programming. They're like, they've been releasing busted Macintosh ports since Genesis.
Yeah.
Since time immemorial. It's like, now you guys are just experiencing what we've been putting up with.
Well, yeah, no, it's the Linux players who are the bad guys because we made CD Projekt Red sad. when they released.
Hey man, don't you
crap.
understand that game companies, game studios, their business decisions are based on fee-fees?
Mm-hmm.
Not economics, not user base or anything like. They base their business decisions, their financial decisions on fee-fees. If you hurt their fee-fees, that can affect.
So I'm sure they were, not happy that basically everyone and their cat was calling them out on that busted piece of crap, The Witcher 2 they put out. But hey.
Again, this is why I don't want to be around government technology, because it's made by the lowest bidder, and that's what you get with virtual programming. It's the lowest bidder when it comes to getting your product out the door.
Yeah, it worked good until you hit one of those hidden loading screens, at which point the game would drop down to 0 frames a second for like 5 seconds. Then you could keep on playing.
Bioshock did not work good out of the box, nowhere near launch. I remember seeing Holy fucking All come out. It was like, it's not, and all this stuff's broke. I think they got it in a workable state, but yeah.
Yeah. At least they fixed it, so that's something.
Right.
But fact of the matter is, when The Witcher 2 came out, the virtual programming version, it worked better on Wine because I still had the calculator back then, and I could play The Witcher 2 in Wine with medium settings, and it wouldn't even fucking launch with the virtual programming crap. So, yeah.
Yeah, Bioshock Infinite did actually work pretty well.
I own Bioshock Infinite, and I have all of 0 minutes.
Yeah, I've only played about a half hour.
I played Earth Showdown. A friend of mine who was doing the YouTube thing back then bought it for me. It's like, oh, it's a euro. I'll buy it for you. We can play together. Okay. Managed to beat most of Strider's times up until I stopped playing because I got to the very last championship and said, you know what? I'm good. I'm good.
Well, as long as, hey man, I mean, if you can get up, that's the way I feel about like Tomb Raider. You know, like naturally the one game Feral has released in the past 2 years that I want to play. And I'm waiting. I'm glad it's working for everyone else. It's disappointing that it has issues out of the box, though.
Yeah.
But these are growing pains. These are Vulkan pains. Vulkan can be a little more dangerous because Vulkan can nope your box.
To the point where, oh, the SSH server is frozen too, so you can't remote in to kill it. Okay.
Yeah.
Alright, let's hold down the power button. There we go.
The versus fighting game.
Sam.
Still, let's see. Skullgirls, Good Arcade Racer, Distance. Joe came in first.
Yay!
Only on one level, and I came in second. Overall, I was third, but I did win a couple of. I won. Pedro, you'd be proud. I won a few levels. I won one level, and I came in second on the other with keyboard and gerbil.
Nice.
So,
I play old keyboard all the time when it comes to Distance.
Oh, okay, cool. And earlier, husband was pointing out, Venn, I just got a new a cherry brown keyboard, so I'd be nice and quiet on the air.
See, this is here's an example of where we're fiscally different. I just wouldn't type during the show.
No, but no. I don't type during the show, but like right now when I'm in chat.
See, now what you need to listen to, Steve, is you just got played, son. She just wanted a cherry brown. She's like, yeah, it's for the show, man. It's for the show.
Yeah.
Just giving everyone a hard time. Arthur, we're working out. I know you don't understand what the problem could be, but when you're dealing with 2 generations of video cards, 2 separate X servers, it's a different situation than what you are playing with along with the home game, and myself and Feral are working on it.
It's kind of weird to be at this point when we spent so long making fun of Skullgirls for not releasing the Linux version. And now it's basically, oh, you know, that one fighting game that works really well on Linux? It's Skullgirls. Yeah. I'd be down for some Guilty Gear or Tekken. Let's see.
Kings of Kung Fu, the ultimate.
Crapshoot, the hitbox.
That was a game. That's a fighting game on Linux that people have tried to forget. Arthur, don't worry about it. Like I said, me and Farrell are working on it. They made it. They ported it. We're working together on a whole different level than trying to troubleshoot. What you getting at, buddy?
I played a lot of Guilty Gear X2 when Wine was finally able to get it to a playable state. It was like my fighting game.
Hey man, I don't know what everyone's stressing about. We're getting Street Fighter V, guys. So.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah, Valve's working on it.
2022.
That's why they bought the Firewatch development team, so they could add a walking simulation to Street Fighter V. It's gonna be DLC. Oh man. Oh jeez.
We can't help it, Steve. We can't help it.
We gotta have a talk, Steve. You gotta quit drinking at work, man. Strutter, we'll never get Firewatch 3. You're not kidding.
We'll never get Firewatch 2 at this rate.
There's nothing about Firewatch. I don't know. Story-driven narrative quasi games, not
an interactive
story.
Yeah, it's an interactive narrative.
Mm-hmm. Nothing about those. Like Life is Strange stuff. I understand. Those are some people's jams, and I get it, and I can respect it. Don't mean I gotta like it. Simple as that. It's like, what's the game about? You walk around in the forest, listening to somebody on the radio. It's like, I
play video games for the mechanics. I play video games because of how they let me interact with the world, and that's why I like Dark Souls so much, because they give you a shit ton of freedom in those games. It's and then you contrast that with like Firewatch. It's like, oh yeah, you're just following a linear path with some random story bits being shouted in your ear over a walkie-talkie. Yeah, that's a really good video game.
So I might have to buy a PlayStation 4.
To do the Linux thing?
No. So I can play God of War.
Oh. I hear it's okay.
I don't care if the game's okay or not, because do you know who's narrating? Who's your protagonist? Kratos? Is that the God of War game?
Yeah.
Yeah. Christopher Judge.
That name sounds familiar.
Teal'c.
Oh, yeah!
Indeed.
He even says indeed.
Indeed.
Ooh, that was good, Pedro. Do that again.
Don't.
Indeed.
Killing my erection and stuff.
Indeed.
So, yeah, that's it might be my empty moment. Like, I want to play Fallout.
Yeah.
I'm going to buy a $500 video game. Shut up.
Yeah.
Admittedly, there is one PS4 exclusive game that I really want to play. I already mentioned Dark Souls. It's freaking Bloodborne. Because I got to play a little bit of that game, started from the beginning, got up to Rom the Vacuous Spider, And it's like, oh man, I want to play that game more. I want to play it so goddamn much. That's why if the RPCS 3 guys get like, oh no, we have full PS3 compatibility now, so we're going to start working on the PS4. Yes! Yes! Do it!
Look at Ronan, man. Some Stargate. Hey, if you don't know about Wednesdays, man, if you follow the Stargate Command channel on the YouTubes,
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's legit. It's not like, hey, this is my Stargate channel, you guys come watch. This is legitimately from the producers and creators of Stargate. They air usually 2 or 3 episodes with some commentary before and after, live every Wednesday. I think it starts in like now, but whatever. If you want to check that out, they do series. Like last week, it was like 3 episodes of the Replicators telling that story and explaining and stuff like that. I don't know, and I'm also not admitting that the primary reason I have Netflix and Amazon Prime is so I can watch Stargate SG-1 all the time, anytime. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it is 5 p.m. here.
Yes.
2 o'clock
10 p.m. over
in
here.
LA. What are you doing?
Night time.
Yeah. What are you doing before you go to bed, Pedro?
I'm gonna go eat dinner.
Sounds like a
And
plan.
then probably play some Tomb Raider.
Mhm.
And then probably go to bed.
Sounds like a thing.
Aw.
Well, you got the rest of the afternoon, Joe. What's going on?
Yeah, I'm gonna eat lunch and then maybe go for a nice walk. It's so beautiful outside.
Where are you going for a walk for? Did you scare off all the Uber drivers?
Well, I could go running. I've been missing going running at the beach, but I can't right now. But I do enjoy that.
Oh man, that would be adorable. Yeah, I might ring up a lift. I'm like, what are we doing? It's like, I don't feel like walking. Just go down the road a little bit, turn around, and come back.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Thanks. Here's your $10. There you go. Bye.
Yeah, actually, Ben, I run in the sand to warm up to play volleyball.
Mhm.
So I run anywhere whenever before I start my games, a quarter of a mile to a half a mile in the sand, back and forth,
Okay.
or going up and down stairs, like 400 stairs.
It's not too bad.
Yeah.
Not too bad. I don't do much. I do
yeah.
like between 6 and 9 kilometers in the morning.
Oh, okay.
But
That's good.
I wouldn't say running. Running, it's more like a very slow jog. Plus, sometimes I go like
Yeah.
shooting off through the woods. I'm like, what's that?
Oh, that's cool. See, that's cool. You have the woods to shoot off to, but at least I can go to the beach. So, but I like
Going to the
woods,
beach, not a selling point for me. It's like, nope, I'm
I
good.
know.
Nope.
Like,
Nori's
what-
like, oh, but I love the beach. Come to the beach with me. There's sun. There's sand.
Mhm.
No.
Aw.
Come on, man. We can do it. We can do our own version of Gertie Shore.
Oh, I'm determined. I'm going to teach Matthew how to surf. I'm going to teach him how to surf. First, probably boogie board and then surf, but I got to make sure that he's a good swimmer first.
All right, start
So-
saving. We're gonna have to go to the funeral, Pedro. So,
Strider drowned in like 2 inches of water.
No, I could surf before I could walk, so I was raised with it.
yeah, I have a perfectly good night. I have nothing against like surfing. I've
Yeah.
attempted surfing on multiple occasions. It went about as well as one might expect.
Sorry.
I did pretty good when I tried surfing. Admittedly, I only had like 3 lessons, but I was doing pretty good.
Oh, that's great, Pedro. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it's a balance thing. I mean, one of my
Yeah.
old hobbies
Yeah.
was speed blading down mountains. So
Yeah, I used
Matthew says, "Good
before
luck."
I did the surf thing, I did the snowboard thing for a few years, so I had the basics.
Oh, okay. So you had the balance. Yeah,
good
yeah,
luck
Matthew.
getting you
Steve,
on a surfboard, Pedro. How,
Yeah,
okay, do you think you could hold them steady? I got nail guns.
Some
I
wood
won't be
glue.
Yeah. Matthew, I won't get Steve Husband on one either. I don't even think I can get him on a boogie board. So
Like I said, nail guns. You can get one too.
nail guns.
Thunk. There we go.
No, but part of the fun for me is like one reason I actually prefer boogie boarding because you can do flips in the tubes, and no, I'm my father did it professionally, so I used to spend 10 hours sometimes a day surfing.
That would be. I don't know. Immediately,
playing
my brain
volleyball
goes
and
to like,
swimming.
yeah, I guess surfing at night wouldn't be that bad idea. That makes perfect sense in
Oh,
my
yeah.
brain.
Actually, that's often the best time when the tides are the best. Surf at night. We used to do it all the time.
I've had some friends that were definitely way too into surfing, especially when I was living out in Oakland and the Bay Area. And I was like, A, you're going to freeze to death. B, you got calluses on
Yeah.
your knees, man. That's weird.
Yeah. Oakland's a little too cold to surf.
All right. I got to go make a
Yes.
podcast.
Okay.
It's been fun. It's been
I
real.
need to cook something.
We'll see you next week.
Yeah. Bye, chat room.
Dino Fire. You know we love you.